It was the last thing I wanted to do. Tim knew how tired I was, and yet he still pressured me into this. With all the chores that I had to do at home, hunting was a big waste of my time. As I plodded along, my steps were heavy with my dark mood. The uneven, ankle-twisting hummocks played havoc with my balance and forced me to concentrate on foot placement. Every other step generated a loud sucking sound as the mud of this wet area tried to hold me captive. This is great, I thought peevishly. Captive was just the word that described my circumstances. Surrounded by oozing soil, I sullenly thought, if it weren't so darn wet everywhere, I'd lie down and take a nap. The day offered perfect temperatures for the layers of clothing I had chosen. It was a good thing, or I would have been silently whining about being too hot or too cold. I broodingly shifted the weight of my .110 shotgun and caught glimpses of my Brittany's orange and white snaking through the tangled cover. At least one of us was happy and wanted to be here. I do love that dog. He was weaving in and out of nature's camouflage patterns, nose angled to the ground, hunting hard for the scent of a woodcock. My heart lightened as my mind acknowledged the reason I was afield. For him. This was Drummer's 7th season and first hunt of the year, although it was not early in the season. My husband Tim had been cajoling my callous heart for days to take Drummer woodcock hunting. I admitted it. I just did not get it. I could not understand why bird hunting was so important this year. Tim was in terrible pain, unable to hunt, and scheduled for surgery. Our blessings were many, but this was a stressful time for us. Hunting was definitely not on my list of priorities. I knew that if I were in that much pain, I would not be, as Tim was now, in the van, listening for shots and vicariously hunting this familiar cover. Presently, I realized I no longer heard the tinkling of Drummer's bell. I could see him off to my left, rigid as a rocket prior to launch. Of course, he was not in the open. Naturally, there was an impenetrable mass of thorny vines clotting the distance between us. Certainly, I would need to employ another duck-walking, thigh-squawking, head-ducking, wearisome waddle technique just to reach him. What fun! "Hold on, Drummer boy, Mum's coming," I called as I picked my way slowly toward my little guy, using my heavily gloved left hand to untangle an area of sufficient size to allow my body to filter through. The vegetation grabbed at my legs like a repentant child as I struggled to break free. The nasty stickers stole my hat and scratched my cheeks, but were denied my eyes thanks to my shooting glasses. Someone once said, if you do not come home from a woodcock hunt, at least a little bloody, then you were not where the birds were. I desperately wanted to be not where the birds were. At last I penetrated the thorn apple thicket, uttering praises of, "Good boy, good boy." There, a mere foot from his nose, was my reward, a bug-eyed, robin-sized bird, perfectly camouflaged with the surroundings. I made up the third leg of our triangle of tension. We all stared at each other, seasoned Brittany, wild female woodcock, and novice hunter. I thrilled at this sight and fervently wished for Tim to be beside me. Time seemed to stop. The triangle did not move. I thought, what happens next? That smart dog read my mind and lunged toward the bird. The ensuing chain reaction propelled that bird furiously into the air, and I yanked my gun up after it. My finger triggered twice, each time sending a 1/2-ounce load of number 9 shot from one of the over-under's barrels. Feet tucked close, I believe that bird did look back and watch my shot fall safely short of any of her pretty brown feathers. Once again, I had earned my moniker, Mrs. Flanigan. "Mom missed. Find another bird, buddy," I regretfully told Drummer. However, I caught the look and message those brown Brittany eyes sent me. Dad's .10 doesn't miss. Unknown to me, back in the van, Tim's mind sheltered him from his pain as he listened to those shots. He was thinking, "Give 'em hell, Deb," he later told me, reliving his own memories of past hunts with our Brittany's and old friends in this same cover, transported him to a time when he was able to bust through brush, no matter how thick, snap his gun instinctively, and put shot to bird. Dodging limbs, bending, twisting while hopping hummocks, all of it taken for granted then, with a healthy body. Not being able to pursue the sport he cherished so dearly was taking its toll on his spirit. I tried to understand the wisdom of his words. There are only so many seasons in a hunter's life and fewer in a dog's. I was there so the dog could hunt and not miss a season. I discovered that day the joy of watching him. I discovered my competitive nature. I discovered the desire to kill one of these wonderful rocketing woodcock. Eventually I did. Drummer had been sneaking in low. His head followed his freckled nose as it wagged side to side, sucking in the wondrous smells of earth. As he hunted close to me, I was able to see the moment his olfactory senses connected with the prey. He stopped so short I envisioned his tail protruding from between his ears. Right foot tucked up as if to preserve a fresh manicure, he remained motionless, all but his beautiful eyes. They implored mine, "Do you see the bird?" I did, and stepped into a solid shooting position. That bird pogoed straight up and to my left. I fired 2 shots. I believed in miracles, and that bird tumbled from the sky. Conditioned now to my poor shooting, even the dog needed to hear the soft thud of the woodcock hitting the leaf-covered ground before he believed. He retrieved his hard-earned bird and dropped its quiet, still warm body into my trembling hand. I looked into his eyes and thanked him sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I used the cell phone in my pocket to call Tim in the van. I told him I had a lump in my vest. It went nicely with the one in my throat.